Captain Olivia Martinez stood tall on the bridge of the Earth Space Alliance vessel Horizon. Through the massive viewing window, she watched as the ship approached the enormous space station that served as headquarters for the Galactic Council. The station looked like a giant silver flower with hundreds of petal-shaped docking bays. Lights of every color sparkled across its surface. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," said Communications Officer Peter Cole. Olivia nodded. "This is it. The most important day in human history." She straightened her blue uniform and touched the golden Earth emblem on her chest. After decades of faster-than-light travel development and 5 years of searching for other intelligent life, humans had finally been invited to meet the Galactic Council, a group of over 200 alien species who had been sharing the Milky Way galaxy for thousands of years. "Follow their instructions exactly," Olivia ordered. "We can't afford any mistakes today." The Horizon glided smoothly into an assigned docking bay. When the ship settled into place, Olivia gathered her diplomatic team in the conference room. Dr. Alan Wright, the team's cultural expert, looked nervous as he stroked the golden fur of Buddy, his therapy dog. The large retriever sat calmly at Alan's feet. "Dr. Wright, pets aren't allowed in diplomatic meetings," Olivia said with a frown. Alan pushed his glasses up his nose. "Captain, Buddy helps me stay calm. You know I get anxious in new situations." "Fine, but keep him close and quiet," Olivia replied. She couldn't really argue. This was the first diplomatic meeting with aliens in human history. Everyone was on edge. When the airlock opened, the humans were greeted by 3 aliens who looked nothing alike. One was tall and insect-like with 4 arms and large compound eyes. Another resembled a walking plant with blue-green leaves instead of hair. The third looked like a fox walking on 2 legs with red fur and a bushy tail. "Welcome to Central Station," said the fox-like alien in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Relic of the Volperi. This is Ambassador Tzicht of the Verkt," he pointed to the insect, "and Ambassador Florina of the Floran." He gestured to the plant being. Olivia stepped forward. "I am Captain Olivia Martinez of Earth. Thank you for inviting us to present our case for membership." As the human delegation followed the aliens through long, curving hallways, they saw creatures of every imaginable shape. Some floated in the air, others slid along the floor, and a few appeared to be made of living crystal or metal. Many stopped to stare at the humans. "Your species has advanced remarkably quickly," said Ambassador Relic. "Only 500 years from discovering electricity to faster-than-light travel. Most species take thousands of years." "Humans are adaptable," Olivia replied proudly. The council chamber was a massive round room with hundreds of raised platforms, arranged in circles around a central speaking area. Each platform held representatives from a different alien species. The human delegation was led to the center. "Distinguished members of the Galactic Council," Olivia began, her voice amplified throughout the chamber. "Humanity comes before you seeking friendship and knowledge. We hope to join your community as peaceful explorers and contributors." For 2 hours, Olivia and her team presented Earth's case. They showed videos of Earth's natural beauty, explained human cultural diversity, and outlined their scientific achievements. They proposed trade agreements and shared human art, music, and literature. Throughout the presentation, Olivia noticed something odd. Many alien representatives seemed distracted. Their eyes kept drifting to Dr. Wright and Buddy, who sat quietly at the edge of the human group. Some aliens were whispering to each other and pointing at the dog. When the presentation ended, Council Leader Nor 7, a being made of swirling blue energy, spoke. "We will now vote on Earth's application for observer status." The voting process took only minutes. When it finished, Nor 7's energy form dimmed slightly. "The Council has voted against granting Earth observer status at this time," they announced. Gasps came from the human delegation. Olivia stepped forward. "May we ask why?" Ambassador Tzicht clicked his mandibles. "Humans are unpredictable. Your history shows constant conflict. Your emotions control your decisions. You are simply too volatile for council membership." Olivia tried to argue, But the decision was final. As the disappointed humans prepared to leave, something unexpected happened. Ambassador Florina, the plant being, approached Dr. Wright. "What is this creature with you?" she asked, her leaf eyes focused on Buddy. "This is Buddy, my dog," Alan explained. "On Earth, we keep animals as companions." Ambassador Florina knelt down, extending a vine-like hand toward Buddy. The dog sniffed it, then licked it gently. Florina made a sound like wind through leaves. She was laughing. "It can sense emotions?" she asked. "Yes, dogs are very good at that," Alan said. "They've lived alongside humans for thousands of years." Soon, other council members crowded around, fascinated by Buddy. The dog remained calm, allowing the curious aliens to pet him. Even the insect-like Tsicht seemed interested, extending one spindly arm to touch Buddy's fur. "You keep non-sentient beings as companions?" asked a jellyfish-like alien floating in a hovering water tank. "Willingly? And they form emotional bonds with you?" "Of course," Alan said. "On Earth we have many animal companions. Dogs, cats, birds, and others. They're part of our families." This revelation seemed to shock many council members. Before the humans left, at least a dozen ambassadors asked questions about Earth's animals. Back on the horizon, the mood was dark as the ship pulled away from the station. "So that's it?" asked Security Chief Greg Butler. "They just reject us and we go home?" Olivia sighed. "For now. We'll try again when they're ready to see past their prejudice." Diplomatic Officer Natalie Garcia was reading through the official rejection notice on her tablet. "Captain, there's something strange here." "What is it?" Olivia asked. "A footnote at the bottom of the rejection letter," Natalie said. "It says, 'The Council formally requests additional information regarding Earth's non-sentient biological companions and would consider establishing cultural exchange liaisons of such entities.'" Dr. Wright looked up. "They want to know more about our pets?" "It seems so," Natalie replied. "They showed more interest in Buddy than in our entire presentation." Olivia thought for a moment, then smiled. "Well, if they won't talk to us directly, maybe our pets can do the talking for us." As the Horizon engaged its engines and headed back toward Earth, Buddy rested his head on Alan's lap. The dog had no idea that he had just opened a door that humans couldn't, a door that might one day lead to Earth's acceptance among the stars. 6 months passed since the Horizon returned to Earth with news of rejection from the Galactic Council. The world's governments had been in constant meetings, trying to figure out what went wrong and how to move forward. Natalie Garcia sat in her small office at the Earth Space Alliance headquarters in Geneva. Pictures of her cats, Max and Ruby, decorated her desk. She was reviewing alien language patterns when her computer chimed with an urgent message. "Officer Garcia, please report to the director's office immediately," said a voice from her computer. 5 minutes later, Natalie stood before Director William Green, a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. "We've received a message from the Galactic Council," Director Green said, pushing a tablet across his desk. Natalie picked it up and read quickly. Her eyes widened. "Sir, is this real?" "Very real. They want to establish a companion species embassy. They want our pets to represent us." Natalie reread the message. "The Council requested Earth to send various domesticated animals to serve as cultural ambassadors. They claimed many Council species found Earth animals fascinating and believed they could bridge communication gaps between species. This is both amazing and a little insulting," Natalie said. "They won't let humans join, but they want our pets?" Director Green nodded. "That's why I called you. You first noticed their interest in Dr. Wright's dog. I want you to help build this program." Within weeks, the Pet Ambassador program was born. Dr. Catherine Powell, a veterinary scientist who had studied animal behavior for 20 years, was chosen to lead it. Her office became the center of activity as experts in animal training, alien biology, and diplomacy worked together. "We need to choose the right animals," Catherine explained to her team. "Animals that are friendly but also well-behaved. We can't send just any pet to represent Earth." The team selected dogs of different breeds, several cats, rabbits, birds, and even a few reptiles. Each animal would have a human handler who would stay behind the scenes. Not everyone was happy about the program. On news channels around the world, some people complained. "This is humiliating," said one politician on a popular show. "They think our pets are more worthy than us?" Others saw it differently. "If our animals can open doors that we cannot, why not try?" argued another, Frank Collins. Watched these debates from his small ranch in Montana. Frank was a former Marine who had become an animal trainer after leaving the military. He specialized in training service dogs for veterans. His border collie, Scout, was exceptionally smart and could understand over 100 commands. One morning, Frank received a video call from an old friend who now worked for the Space Alliance. "Frank, we need your help," said the friend. "We need experienced trainers for the Pet Ambassador program. Your work with service dogs is exactly what we're looking for." Frank scratched his beard. "You want me to help train dogs to meet aliens?" "Not just train them. We want you to go with them. Each animal needs a human handler, someone who understands them." Frank looked at Scout, who was watching him with intelligent eyes. "You know I don't like crowds or politics," he said. "This isn't about politics. It's about finding a way forward for humanity." 2 months later, Frank stood in a large training facility in Houston, watching as Scout and other animals practiced staying calm in strange environments with unusual sounds and smells. Catherine Powell approached him. "Scout is performing exceptionally well," she said, checking her tablet. "His ability to focus despite distractions is remarkable." Frank nodded. "He's always been special. But are we really doing this? Sending animals to speak for us?" "Not to speak for us," Catherine corrected. "To connect with them in ways we can't. Many council species seem to have sensory or empathic abilities that respond to animals differently than to humans." 3 more months of intensive training followed. The animals learned to stay calm in simulated alien environments with strange smells and sounds. The human handlers learned basic alien protocols and how to support their animal partners. Finally, the day came to depart. A newly built ship called the Goodwill was ready to carry the first pet embassy team to the Galactic Council Station. 50 animals and 30 human handlers would make the journey. Before boarding, Catherine gathered everyone in a large room. "This mission is unlike anything humans have ever attempted," she said. "You are not diplomats in the traditional sense, but your work may be the most important diplomatic mission in human history." Frank stood with Scout at his side, feeling out of place among the scientists and language experts. He leaned down to scratch Scout's ears. "What do you think, buddy? Ready to meet some aliens?" he whispered. The journey to the Galactic Council Station took 2 weeks. During that time, the handlers kept the animals comfortable and continued their training. Frank spent much of his time in the ship's garden area, which had been designed to give the animals exercise space. "I never thought I'd be in space," he told Scout as they looked out a viewing window at the stars, let alone as part of an animal embassy. When they arrived at the station, they were greeted by Ambassador Relic, the fox-like alien who had first welcomed humans months ago. "Welcome to Central Station," Relic said. "The Council has prepared special quarters for your delegation." The pet embassy was given a large section of the station with rooms designed to mimic Earth environments. There were grassy areas, trees, and even a small pond. The human quarters were connected but separate. "Your animals will be able to interact with council members in these common areas," Relic explained, pointing to several large rooms with comfortable furniture and open spaces. "How many species want to meet our animals?" Catherine asked. "Currently, 127 species have requested interactions," Relic replied. "We had to create a schedule." Frank raised his eyebrows. "That's more than half the council." "Yes," Relic said. "This is unprecedented interest. Typically, new species meet with perhaps 10 or 15 council members at first. The next day, the first official visitors arrived. 3 Florin, the plant-like aliens, entered the main interaction area where Catherine had arranged for several dogs, including Scout, to be present. What happened next surprised everyone. The Florin approached the dogs slowly, their leaf-like appendages trembling slightly. As Scout walked up to one of them, the alien made a sound like gentle wind through trees. Scout wagged his tail and sat calmly. The Floran reached out, touching Scout's head gently. Then the alien's color changed from green to a soft blue, starting from where its hand touched Scout and spreading throughout its body. "What's happening?" Frank asked, concerned. "It appears to be a sign of emotional connection," Relic explained. Floran changed color to express deep feelings. Blue represents peace and understanding. By the end of the first week, word had spread throughout the station. Lines of aliens waited for hours to visit the pet embassy. Different species were drawn to different animals. The insect-like Verkt preferred cats, water-dwelling species were fascinated by fish, and many humanoid aliens enjoyed the playfulness of dogs. Frank watched it all with growing amazement. "I think we might be onto something here," he told Scout quietly. "Something bigger than anyone expected." 1 month into the pet embassy program, Frank sat in the observation area watching Scout interact with a group of small blue aliens called the Minori. These aliens had large eyes and moved like they were dancing. Scout was showing them how he could catch a ball in midair. "Amazing progress," Catherine said, joining Frank. She carried a tablet filled with notes. "The program is exceeding all expectations." Frank nodded. "The animals are doing great, but I've noticed something strange." "What's that?" Catherine asked. "Different. Animals seem to have special abilities here that they didn't have on Earth. Watch Scout." As they observed, Scout suddenly stopped playing and turned his attention to 2 aliens on opposite sides of the room, a tall, crystal-like being, and a furry creature with 6 limbs. The 2 aliens were from species known to dislike each other. Before any trouble started, Scout walked between them, sitting first beside one, then moving to the other, wagging his tail. The tension in the room eased. The 2 aliens who had been glaring at each other seemed calmer. "See that?" Frank said. "Scout senses conflicts before they happen. He's been doing this for days now. It's like he can feel the emotions in the room." Catherine made notes on her tablet. Other handlers have reported similar observations. Cats seem to understand alien social ranks perfectly. The parrot in room 3 is learning alien words faster than our translators. "Could it be something about this place?" Frank asked. "Something in the air or the gravity?" "I have a theory," Catherine replied. "Many council species have mild telepathic or empathic abilities. Humans don't have these talents, which might be one reason they rejected us. But our animals may be sensitive to these signals." Frank considered this idea while watching Scout. "So the animals are like bridges between humans and aliens? They can understand things we can't?" "Exactly. And the aliens find this fascinating because most of them don't have the concept of animal companions. They evolved differently." Later, that day, Frank walked Scout through the station's garden area. Many aliens nodded respectfully as they passed. Some even knew Scout by name. Frank found it strange to see his dog becoming a celebrity. "Officer Collins," called a voice behind him. Frank turned to see Ambassador Relic approaching. "Just Frank is fine," he said. Relic's fox-like face formed what might have been a smile. "Frank, the Council has an unusual request. There is an important trade negotiation tomorrow between the Lithians and the Aquari. These species have been rivals for centuries and talks often break down." "What does that have to do with us?" Frank asked. "Several council members have suggested that Scout's presence might help keep emotions calm. Would you be willing to bring him to the meeting?" Frank was surprised. "You want my dog at an alien trade negotiation?" "If you agree," Relic said. His ability to sense and soothe tensions has been noticed by many. The next day, Frank and Scout entered a formal meeting room. 2 groups of aliens sat on opposite sides of a large table. On one side were the Lithians, who looked like walking statues made of dark stone. On the other side were the Aquari, blue-skinned aliens with gills on their necks. "What is this Earth creature doing here?" demanded a Lithian in a deep, rumbling voice. "Scout is here as a neutral observer," explained the meeting facilitator, a tall alien with 4 arms. "He has shown remarkable abilities to sense emotional states." The Aquari leader made bubbling sounds that the translator converted to words. "We accept this unusual arrangement." The meeting began, and Frank sat quietly with Scout beside him. For an hour, the aliens discussed trade routes and resource rights. The conversation grew heated several times. Each time, Scout would walk over to whichever side was becoming angry and sit calmly. The aliens would pause, look at the dog, and then continue more politely. During one particularly tense moment, a Lithian slammed a stone fist on the table. Scout immediately went to the alien and placed his paw on the Lithian's arm. The room fell silent. After a moment, the Lithian relaxed and resumed talking in a calmer tone. By the end of the meeting, the two species had reached an agreement that had seemed impossible at the start. "Remarkable," said the facilitator to Frank afterward. "These talks usually take days and often fail. Scout's presence changed the entire dynamic." News of Scout's success spread quickly through the station. Soon, other animals from the pet embassy were being requested for various meetings and events. A cat named Whiskers became popular with the insect-like Verkt, who were fascinated by her independence and grace. A parrot named Rio was requested by language scholars for his ability to mimic and seemingly understand complex alien sounds. Catherine called a meeting of all human handlers to discuss these developments.
"Our animals are becoming diplomats in their own right," she said. "This is more successful than anyone hoped." A handler named Lisa raised her hand. "My rabbit Clover seems to understand what the plant-based aliens are saying, even when the translators struggle." Others shared similar stories.
It was clear that Earth's animals had unexpected talents in this interstellar setting. One evening, Frank found Natalie Garcia in the embassy's human lounge, studying reports on her tablet. "Any word from Earth?" he asked, sitting across from her. Natalie looked up. "Yes, actually. The Council has agreed to reconsider Earth's application for observer status. They cite new understanding of human-animal bonds as the reason." Frank smiled. "So our pets are getting us a seat at the table after all." "It seems so," Natalie replied. "But there's something else. I've been analyzing communications between certain council members. Not everyone is happy about this development." "What do you mean?" "A species called the Xerox has been sending messages questioning the pet embassy. They suggest our animals might be artificially enhanced, or that we're using them to manipulate council members somehow." Frank frowned. "That's ridiculous. Scout is just a regular dog." "I know," Natalie said, "but the Xerox are highly technological and suspicious by nature. They don't understand the human-animal bond, because they have no equivalent in their culture." The next morning, Frank noticed Scout seemed tired and less enthusiastic than usual. When the dog refused his breakfast, Frank became concerned and took him to the embassy's veterinary section. Dr. Ryan Baker examined Scout carefully. "His vital signs are slightly off. Has he eaten anything unusual?" "No," Frank said. "He only eats what we bring from Earth." Dr. Baker ran several tests. "I don't see any obvious cause for concern. Let's observe him for a day." By afternoon, 3 more animals had shown similar symptoms: a cat, a rabbit, and another dog. All had been present at different diplomatic functions the previous day. Catherine gathered the handlers for an emergency meeting. "We're facing our first real crisis," she said, her face serious. 4 animals are showing the same symptoms and we don't know why." "Could it be something in the station's environment?" someone asked. "The station has been safe for them for weeks," Catherine replied. "Something has changed." Frank remembered Natalie's concerns about the Xerox. "Or someone has changed it," he said quietly. Dr. Baker worked through the night running tests on the sick animals. By morning, the number of affected pets had grown to 7. They all showed the same symptoms: tiredness, loss of appetite, and slow responses. Frank barely left Scout's side. The border collie lay on a soft bed in the veterinary area, his usual energy gone. Frank gently stroked his head. "You'll be okay, buddy," he whispered. "We'll figure this out." Catherine entered the room with Natalie and Ambassador Relic. Their faces were serious. "Dr. Baker found something in the blood tests," Catherine said. "A chemical that doesn't belong there. It's not from Earth and it's not a normal part of the station environment." "You mean poison?" Frank asked, his voice hard. Relic's ears flattened against his head. "This is deeply troubling. An attack on diplomatic representatives is a serious crime under council law. We need to find who did this and how, Natalie said. She had a small computer device in her hand. I've been checking security recordings from areas where the sick animals were yesterday. And? Frank asked. Nothing obvious yet. But all of them were in different places with different alien species. The only connection is that they all had successful diplomatic interactions recently. Frank thought for a moment. Success. That's the connection. Someone doesn't want the pet embassy to succeed. Relic nodded. I fear you may be right. Catherine took charge of the situation. We need to protect the remaining animals while we investigate. No more public appearances for now. As the others discussed security measures, Frank noticed a woman he hadn't seen before standing in the doorway. She wore the uniform of the veterinary staff, but he didn't recognize her. Who are you? He asked. Linda Simmons, she replied. I'm Dr. Baker's new assistant. There was something about her that seemed different from the other science staff. Her eyes moved constantly, checking the room, the exits, the people. Later, when they were alone with Scout, Frank confronted her. You're not really a vet assistant, are you? Linda smiled slightly. What makes you say that? The way you stand, the way you watch everything. I was a Marine. I know intelligence personnel when I see them. Linda looked at him for a long moment. Earth Space Alliance intelligence, she finally admitted quietly. I was sent to join the program after we received reports of possible threats. Why didn't Catherine tell me about you? Very few people know. We suspected there might be problems once the pet embassy started showing results. Frank nodded toward Scout. Well, you were right. Can you help find who did this? Already working on it, Linda said. And I could use your help. You know these animals better than anyone, and Scout in particular seems to have special abilities here. Over the next few days, Dr. Baker developed a treatment that helped the sick animals recover. Scout began to improve, though he was still weaker than normal. Meanwhile, Frank and Linda worked together to investigate the poisoning. They discovered that the poison had been placed in the air filtration system of rooms where the animals had been scheduled to appear. It was designed to affect only Earth mammals, which explained why aliens in the same rooms weren't harmed. This was carefully planned, Linda said as they reviewed security data on her special tablet. Whoever did this knows a lot about Earth biology. The Jurox? Frank asked. They're our prime suspects. They've been the most vocal against the pet embassy from the start. News of the poisoning incident spread through the station. Many council species expressed outrage that diplomatic representatives had been attacked. The council called an emergency session to discuss the matter. As a show of support, they invited Catherine to bring one recovered animal to the session. She chose Scout, who had recovered faster than the others. Are you sure he's ready? Frank asked as he prepared Scout for the appearance. Dr. Baker says he's strong enough for a short visit, Catherine replied. And his presence will remind everyone what's at stake. The council chamber was packed with representatives from all member species. Frank stood with Scout near the speaking platform where Catherine would address the council. Scout seemed alert, but stayed close to Frank's side. Ambassador Relic introduced Catherine, who spoke about the pet embassy's mission and the recent attack. As she talked, Frank noticed Scout becoming restless. The dog was looking intently at a group of metallic-looking aliens on a high platform. Those are the Jurox, Linda whispered, standing just behind Frank. The ones we suspect. Scout growled softly, something he rarely did. He kept staring at one Jurox in particular, a tall being with a silver-blue surface that seemed to shift, like liquid metal. That's their lead ambassador, Linda said. Frank watched carefully. The Jurox ambassador was holding something in its metallic hand, a small device that glowed faintly. As the council discussion continued, Frank noticed that whenever certain council members began speaking in favor of investigating the poisoning incident fully, the Jurox would touch the device. Scout senses something wrong with that Jurox, Frank whispered to Linda. Look at the device in its hand. Linda's eyes narrowed. Emotion manipulation technology is strictly forbidden in council meetings. We need proof. How do we get it? Frank asked. Follow my lead. When Catherine finished speaking, Linda approached the central platform and whispered something to Relic. The fox-like alien looked surprised, then concerned. He nodded and addressed the council. A serious allegation has been made, Relic announced. It has been suggested that illegal emotion-influencing technology is being used in this chamber. Angry murmurs filled the room. The Xerox ambassador stood. This is outrageous. Who makes this claim? At that moment, Scout broke away from Frank and ran directly to the Xerox platform. Before anyone could stop him, he jumped up and knocked the device from the ambassador's hand. It fell to the floor with a clatter. The chamber went silent. Linda quickly picked up the device before anyone else could reach it. This appears to be an emotion modulator, she said loudly, holding it up. Exactly the kind of technology forbidden by council law. Security officers, aliens of various species wearing matching uniforms, surrounded the Xerox delegation. The lead ambassador's metallic surface rippled with what might have been anger or fear. You have no proof this device was being used to influence the council, the Xerox said. We can analyze it, Relic replied. If it has been activated during this session, the evidence will be clear. The council voted immediately to suspend the Xerox delegation pending a full investigation. As they were escorted out, the lead ambassador glared at Frank and Scout. This isn't over, it said in a voice like grinding metal. Your primitive species doesn't belong here. Neither do your animals. After the Xerox left, many council members came to thank Scout. Some even bowed to him, which Frank found amusing and surreal. Your animal has uncovered a plot that our best security failed to detect, said Council Leader Nor 7, the being made of swirling energy. This service will not be forgotten. As they left the chamber, Linda smiled at Frank. Good work, both of you. Frank patted Scout's head proudly. He did all the real work. I just trusted his instincts. That's exactly what makes your partnership special, Linda replied. And why the pet embassy is working when traditional diplomacy failed. That night, as Scout slept peacefully on his bed, Frank sat talking with Linda and Natalie. The Xerox wanted to sabotage us, Natalie said. But why? What are they so afraid of? Linda tapped on her secure tablet. I've been doing some research in the council archives. There's something strange in the oldest records about a species called the caretakers that disappeared thousands of years ago, and they look remarkably similar to humans. The next morning, Frank, Linda, and Natalie met with Catherine in a secure room to discuss their findings about the mysterious caretakers. Look at this, Linda said, showing images on her tablet. The pictures showed tall, two-legged beings that looked very much like humans. These are from the oldest council records. They called themselves the caretakers. Natalie studied the images closely. They look like us, almost exactly like us. According to the records, the caretakers were granted limited council membership about 10,000 years ago, Linda explained. They came from a small blue planet in the outer spiral arm. Sound familiar? Earth, Frank said quietly. They were humans. Catherine shook her head in amazement. Are you saying humans were in space thousands of years ago? It looks that way, Linda replied. The records say the caretakers were known for one unique trait. They had deep bonds with non-sentient species from their world. Just like us with our pets, Natalie said. Frank leaned forward. So what happened to them? Why don't we know about this? Linda scrolled through more images. About 8,000 years ago, they disappeared. No explanation in the records. Just gone. The council lost contact with their homeworld. And that's why the Xerox are so opposed to us, Natalie realized. They know who we are. They know we're connected to the caretakers. But why would that scare them? Frank asked. Before anyone could answer, Ambassador Relic entered the room. His normally neat fur was ruffled, and he seemed agitated. The investigation of the Xerox has revealed disturbing information, he said. They have been hiding ancient council records about your species. We just found some of those records ourselves, Catherine told him. Relic nodded. The council has voted to open all classified archives about the caretakers. There will be a special session tomorrow. Your presence is requested, all of you and Scout too. The next day, the council chamber was completely full. Not only were all official representatives present, but many additional members of each species crowded the viewing areas. Frank stood with Scout beside Catherine, Linda, and Natalie at the center of the chamber. Council leader Noor 7 began the session. Today we address a great wrong that has existed for thousands of years. The Juroks have been forced to surrender hidden records about the species known as caretakers. A large screen appeared in the air above the chamber. It showed images of Earth from space, then pictures of ancient human settlements. 8,000 years ago, Noor 7 continued, another council species, the Collectors, visited Earth to study its life forms. Without council permission, they took humans from Earth for research. These humans were eventually discovered and freed by the council. More images appeared, showing humans living on other worlds, some with dogs, cats, and other Earth animals. These humans, calling themselves caretakers, were granted limited council membership. They were known for their unique ability to form deep bonds with non-sentient species, a trait extremely rare among intelligent beings in our galaxy. Frank felt a strange mix of pride and anger. Humans had been in space before, but only because they were taken against their will. The caretakers thrived for 2,000 years, Noor 7 said. Then, during a period of council conflict, their main settlement was destroyed in an attack. The survivors, rather than seeking revenge, chose to return to their homeworld, Earth. They came home, Natalie whispered. And over time, the knowledge was lost. But why hide this? Catherine asked loudly. Why keep this from us? A new figure moved to the speaking platform. An elderly Jurok, its metal surface dull with age. Because of the prophecy, the elder Jurok said, its voice crackling. Before the caretakers left, their leader made a prediction. She said humans would one day return to the stars on their own power. And when they did, they would bring a new understanding that would change the council forever. The elder Jurok's surface rippled. Our ancestors feared this change. They convinced the council to suppress all records of the caretakers and to watch Earth. When your species began reaching for the stars, our leaders decided to prevent your membership at all costs. But why? Frank asked. What's so threatening about us? Your bond with animals, the elder replied. Most species in the galaxy evolved through competition. We see other life forms as rivals or resources. But humans evolved through cooperation with each other and with other species. The caretakers believe this different path gave humans unique insights that the council needs. Murmurs filled the chamber as council members discussed this revelation. Scout stood calmly beside Frank, watching, everything with alert eyes. Council leader Noor 7 raised their energy form to call for silence. The council has made its decision. The deception ends today. Earth will be offered full membership immediately, with special recognition of the role their animals have played in revealing the truth. Cheers erupted throughout the chamber. Many council members approached to congratulate the humans. Some even bowed to Scout and the other animals who had been brought to the session. 2 weeks later, a formal ceremony was held to welcome Earth into the Galactic Council. Captain Olivia Martinez, who had led the first rejection, now stood proudly with Earth's official delegation. Beside them were Catherine, Frank, and other handlers, each with their animal partners. As Scout sat beside Frank watching the proceedings, Frank leaned down to whisper, Well, buddy, you did it. You got humans accepted where we couldn't get ourselves in. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a new emblem for Earth's council seat, a human hand and an animal paw together, symbolizing the unique partnership that had opened the door to the stars. After the ceremony, Ambassador Relic approached Frank. The council has a request. They wish to make the pet embassy a permanent institution. Your animals have shown they can bridge gaps between species that nothing else can. Frank looked at Scout, who wagged his tail as if he understood. What do you think, Scout? Ready for a career in space diplomacy? Scout barked once, tail wagging. Faster. I think that's a yes, Frank said, smiling. 3 months later, the pet embassy had grown into a major diplomatic center on the station. Animals from Earth were now regular participants in council meetings, trade negotiations, and cultural exchanges. Frank had been named the first official director of interspecies relations, though he still preferred working directly with Scout. One evening, Frank stood with Scout at a viewing window, looking out at the stars and the ships coming and going from the station. "Strange to think that humans were out here before," he said to Scout. "And now we're back, thanks to you and your friends." Scout leaned against Frank's leg, content. In the reflection of the window, Frank could see other humans and animals moving about the embassy behind them. He could also see alien visitors watching them with curiosity and respect. "The caretakers were right," Frank said quietly. "We did bring something different to the galaxy. Not our technology or our strength, but our ability to connect with other species." Scout looked up at him with intelligent eyes that seemed to understand every word. Frank smiled and scratched behind the dog's ears. "Good boy," he said. "The best ambassador Earth could have asked for." Outside the window, a new ship approached the station, bearing the Earth flag and the new emblem of the human-animal partnership. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not by showing power or advanced technology, but by sharing the simple, profound bond between a person and their pet, a bond that had turned out to be one of the rarest and most valuable things in the entire galaxy.